Greetings, my friend, for whichever part of the world we are in now. I like to I like to thank the organizer, the World Green Growth Organization, for the opportunity to learn and share some of the best practices regarding fixing the economy is to fix the climate change. How can we achieve creating circular economy from food waste A and B, standing for stream A and B, meaning farm produce and food scrap, while addressing the landfill stress as well as curbing the greenhouse gas such as methane gas? My name is Zach. I've spent many years of my adult life in developing human capital process, working for some of the major oil and gas companies such as Saudi Aramco as a program development and evaluation analyst, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company as a career development advisor, as well as head of national development for Qatar Gas. Why people are moving away from linear economy to circular economy? Well, there are multiple reasons. As you can see from the graph, take, make, and dispose had worked well in the past, but it's no longer working. And the reason why it's not working, there are so many multiple reasons for it. And one of them is make, use, or recycle. It's a circular economy that not only helps create jobs, but also helps take care of the landfill or even taking things from the mining and making it. So it becomes more energy intensive. So we reduce the energy intensiveness at the same time, just get rid of the disposed items that we can put them back again. And not forgetting the global warming impact that's impacting all of us. From the chart, you can see the hottest temperature around the world. And many of us who, like I said, I work for Saudi Arabia, I work for Qatar Gas, and I work for many parts of the world. I've traveled well. I've been even in South Africa. I lived in South Africa for a while. As you can see by looking at the map, Canada, where we are right now, all the way up to Australia, we all are facing the hottest temperature around the world. And one of the reasons is, and one of the things that we have to look at it, how can we stop or how can we curb the hottest temperature around the world? So looking at the green economy indicator that I'm using as an example, which was issued, as you can see, the source is the UAE Ministry of Environment and Water, Green Development Department. If you take a look at the indicator for the green economy, you will see many of these items, practically almost all of the item, is all related to waste. And of course, the water that we use in certain part of the world, desalination water becomes very much energy intensive. So more energy we burn, the more item that the emission, the greenhouse emissions coming out from because of the food waste and other items, it creates more impact for global warming. And you have seen the map or the one which I shared with you a minute ago. So looking at the facts and looking at the opportunity of the situation for what we see, the facts are, for example, as per the Food and Agriculture Organization, food produce is available for 10 billion people. That's true. But at the same time, if you may notice, there's also another report that says almost 65 million plus people will go hungry in the year 2021. So if we are producing food for 10 billion people, and we only have 7.7 billion people, give or take, then how come we will have so many people going hungry? At the same time, the facts is 70% of fresh water is used for agriculture that creates the water stress and water footprint issues for many. So, and almost 50% of the food produced goes to landfill only to create methane gas. So the point is again, the grow and throw is counterproductive to land soil conditioning and of course causing more water stress. We have almost 50% population in the world. Our stakeholders are women. And of course, we also have a very large young population. Children needs to be educated in order for them to understand the greenhouse gas and the impact. So now if you and I will look into why we need to recycle food waste, stream A and B, as I mentioned, A and B meaning farm food produce, that is also causing a major problem, as well as the food scrap. So some of the inherent issues that can be solved, such as climate change impacting all the stakeholders, regardless, either we are a rich country or poor country. Either we are surrounded by many water or we are not surrounded by any water at all. Let that be a country that has 7,000 glaciers in the world melting away and still having no water. That does not make sense. Because 70% of the water has been used for agriculture purposes, only to throw away 50% of the food waste as a food waste. So the other inherent issue is curbing the greenhouse gas impact. Of course, we talked about water stress and water footprint issues. Many countries are facing a lot of water, many countries are having no water at all. But even those water which is there, and like in Bangladesh, for example, the water which is coming out from the rivers, it's the saline waters with the high salinity, it cannot be used for farming purposes. It's not doing any good either. At the same time, if you look at some of the issues that we are facing in terms of carbon credit to offset carbon tax, more carbon tax meaning item will become more expensive. Someone has to pay for it. So the solution to landfill stress and address the health and water and air pollution is also another issue that we are facing as inherent issues. Creating economic growth for our rural communities, let that be indigenous community in Canada or in New Zealand for that matter, or in South Africa or in Kenya. So if you are looking at the opportunity of creating economic equality, we have to look at the possibility of creating that opportunity for which they can work on. Women empowerment initiatives, as you know, that more than 50% of our stakeholders of this planet are women. So many of women who need jobs, who needs to create, who needs to participate as a stakeholder, they also can get the benefit from the food waste recycling solution that we're talking about. And of course, the EPR initiative, which stands for Extended Producer Responsibility, plus the Green Governance to Green Citizenship, which was newly launched by many as a financial portfolio as ESG, as we call it, environmental social governance. I am going to use an example of Pakistan, with all due respect to many people. And at the same time, I'm also trying to highlight this issue is not only for a particular city, but I'm just using this as an example for us to understand that a country which has more than 7,000 glaciers, how we can help in order to reduce the changes that is taking place, which is melting away more snows because of the global warming. So a quantity of 9,500 metric tons of municipal solid waste is an organic generated in the city of Karachi, Pakistan. Out of that 9,500 of 21 million people, and we have done the similar case study for Mexico as well, 5,500 tons per day is where the food waste is being used. So out of that, only about 350 tons of waste is recyclable items, such as cardboard, plastic bottles, and so forth. The typical composition waste that disposed in landfill as per the waste management has been categorized in the next figure, as I will share with you now. Through the recycling program and by diverting, there's zero waste going to landfill to be reused again for the organic food waste. As you know, that for every 1 ton of food waste, that emits 1.84 tons of methane gas. So that again becomes a major concern. And city of Karachi has no garbage. They have 2 garbage dumps, and there's no official landfills across Pakistan. Furthermore, if we still continue by looking at it, so you can see the amount of greenhouse organic gas has been created and the number of items that has been wasted that could have been turned into resources. How? I'll share with you in a minute. Sharing with you the information even in Toronto, where I'm right now. As you can see, the city of Toronto, which happens to be one of the most beautiful smart cities, as we have been recognized many times, almost 70% of the municipal waste coming out from high-rise buildings still going to the landfill. So that again does not add up with the branding that we already have, and we can do much more. So point is again, what are we learning? What are we doing? What can you do? If I go by what has been said, what can you do in order to take care of the food waste? It does not give me much tangible response, so to speak. It does not bring a sustainable or practical solution. Say no to item that you don't need. Of course, we all know that, but that's not going to decrease the number of items not going to the landfill or having a methane gas emission. So if you and I take a look at the waste as we shared with you the chart about the circular economy as against the linear economy, the amount of item that's going to a landfill and the amount of item that's been, the percentage-wise, if you may notice, organic is 44.5%, and the rest of the items are very small percentage. And many of these items, as you can see, does not give away methane gas, so there's no direct impact on the global warming per se. It's not as lethal as methane gas coming out from the food waste. So, having said that, I don't know. So the other issue that I like to also share with you is the landfills issues. The landfills are full and does not provide sustainable long-term solution. As we know, as we have realized, more and more people have started shunning away from having landfills, because that becomes a point where all the greenhouse gas becomes a housing for them. Waste and landfill releases the toxic air, as we know, and of course the current waste management system is not efficient, even in a city like Karachi or Mexico City or in Cairo or anywhere else for that matter. So what is the solution? And many times in many places, in Canada, for example, there's a certain amount of resistance from the community whereby the landfills are not allowed to operate or dig in more landfills or incinerators because of the people concerned about the environmental and health issues. I'm trying to move fast enough. This is the uh, people who have made the impact by having the landfill proponent of Bill 197, and they have all the other reasons for why they don't want to have landfill there. So with the population growth, with landfill stress or not been having more landfill and having all this item, the waste, that's why I was showing you the chart, the linear chart, the waste needs to go somewhere in order to stop the greenhouse gas. So what we're saying to people to say, look, here's an opportunity. Why not recycle the food waste and create dehydration process and create from food waste, from food scrap, you make item that you can use it as fish feed, chicken feed, or soil amendment, and you can also dehydrate because of the dehydration process. You also can convert the food waste into 100%, I repeat, 100% pathogen-free water. So I got from the food scrap, I got the chicken feed, fish feed, which also create the food supply chain. At the same time, I also got 100% pathogen-free water that we were throwing them away. So many countries where they are facing water stress and water footprint issue, we have a solution by which they can use this water in order to use it for farming. At the same time, this whole process also helps the regenerative farming because in regenerative farming, meaning giving back more than what you're taking from the farm. So this also becomes a fantastic opportunity. Now it comes for the item that we normally throw them away, such as spent barley. I'm using spent barley as an example. Living in Canada, so we have a lot of beer breweries, and so spent barley that has one yield a year. So the barley that we use for beer making, after that it gets thrown away. Either it goes to landfill because the stench is so strong, or it goes to the pig farm. In many big cities, we don't have pig farms in and around here. So normally it goes thrown away. We converted that barley and put the barley back in the same form as the original barley to make bread again. So many of those things that we were throwing them away has become an opportunity for creating the food supply chain and meeting the food security in many ways. Here's an opportunity, as you can see, the return of investment, of course, is fantastic. As you can see, those items such as poultry feed, fish feed, soil amendment, and water. Um, in Dubai, we also operate in Dubai. In Dubai, for example, as Mr. Tayar has pointed out many times, Mr. Tayar, who's from Diva, they want to reduce the water consumption by 20%. So one of the things that what we've been trying to advocate, and we've been doing it, instead of using the potable water coming out from desalination for example, landscaping or cleaning the floor or whatever, why don't you use those food item and create the water from the food item and use the water for cleaning purposes for what it is, and it meets the requirement for what the directive has been issued. At the same time, as you can see, the machine is there. I'm just showing you the machine is in order for us to understand. You can see the item which was there. This is what it used to be. And now all of them has been turned into what you just saw before the slide. So what we're trying to suggest is why not create our own eco depot by which you can use all of those items not going to the waste. So there's this increased circular economy such as organic waste becomes using the machine, this is what you get. Using the plastic, this is what you get. Use cooking oil that we are doing it, turn them into biodiesel that we have greener fuel, biofuel, and it becomes easy for having less pollution. Aerosol cans that contains HFC gas, instead of throwing them away, why don't we create something out of waste and turn them back so we have less mining and better use. Same thing with the glass recycling and so on, as you can see there. So by doing so, we got almost 85% of municipal solid waste not going to the landfill. So we got less item going to the landfill, meaning less greenhouse gas emission coming out from landfill. This is just to give you a pie chart in order for us to understand how it has the environmental impact. Uh, People want to know, can they get the branding, the CSR branding? Remember I mentioned about the ESG branding? This becomes a fantastic branding if when we do something that is good for the community at large as well as for the climate change. So these are the things that what we are suggesting to many companies and many countries, that they can create their own waste disposal so they have less item going to the item. And in order for us to share with you the business model options, there are some business model as well. I'm using now the Canadian example whereby you can see the amount of money that has been wasted having to send those items to the landfill. So we need to educate not only in certain part of the world, but practically many of us who are not, who needs to get on the uh, bandwagon of taking care of the environmental solution. These are some of the information that I can would be happy to share with you. And what I like to share with the opportunity to say, look, this is what you can get from 1 ton alone. This is the amount of water you can get from 1 ton of food waste alone. So you can imagine if you have that much item going to the landfill and you have that much end product that you can bring on board that will create jobs for people, at the same time curb the greenhouse gas. That is what we are trying to achieve. And I think we are ready now. I think the world is ready for us to see the opportunity by which they can. It's not they can see the difference that they can have the difference in terms of return of investment, in terms of social return of investment, as well as for doing something good for the planet. So, in other words, save planet, save money. We also have a campaign that we launched regarding the educating the children from kindergarten to industry. So there's a direct engagement so that every one of us become a stakeholder. And as they say, the hunger does not recognize color, creed, or religion. And as far as our future generation is concerned, this planet has been borrowed from them. We owe it to them. We need to give them back in a better condition than what we have taken from them. That's our responsibility. So these are, again, the number of financial considerations that has been laid out. So the whole idea behind what I'm sharing with you is to say, if for the first time United Nations IPCC report has indicated methane gas as the major contributor for the global warming,
holidays and third-party
food
calendar
food
events
waste
can't be edited.
food waste food waste is a direct also emit methane gas. And methane gas, as you know, is 80 times more lethal than carbon footprint or carbon dioxide. So 1 metric ton of organic emits 1.84 tons of methane gas. So you can imagine if city of Karachi, for example, having 5,500 tons of food waste per day going to a landfill, you can imagine how much methane gas is coming out from there that could be captured, and those items can be reused again to create circular economy. At the same time, meet the water requirement for what has been highlighted over and over again for many, many years. And the same thing applies in Cairo, same thing applies in Mexico City, and same thing applies even in Canada. Right now in BC, we are flooded. And the reason why we're getting so much flood is because our ice and glaciers are melting. And at the same time, with all the climate change which is happening. So, my point is again, why not make a better future? Why not segregate all of those? Why not understand what is greenhouse gases and create legacy and make a smart living solution? Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.